In my book on entrepreneurship called Hey, Could You Be an Entrepreneur? There's a particular individual that I speak about in the last chapter called Carlos Slim. Some of you may have heard of him. He's the Mexican multi-billionaire, number 1 or 2 in the Forbes list of the richest people on earth. How does Carlos Slim make his money? We all know him from telecoms, etc. He has a monopoly really for the telecoms market in Mexico. But his philosophy really, and a particular act that he did during the Mexican Revolution of the early 80s is what set him apart. And what happened in the early 80s, Mexico was in turmoil. So the upper and middle class Mexicans were selling up all their assets to flee Mexico, to run to Europe, to America, to different places. And what did Carlos Slim do? He stayed put. So for example, a house that's worth $100 million, because a particular individual wanted to flee Mexico, they were just looking for cash urgently so they could go. So what they did was they sold it to Carlos Slim for a fraction. Rumor has it 10 to 20% of his actual value is what they sold it to him for. So that's what he did. He bought assets at 80 to 90% below market value when people were fleeing, and he sat on them. Like Rothschild would say, when you see blood on the streets, buy property. What that means is in crisis, there's always opportunity. Fear is not what you should live by. You should live by, because whatever's going on, it's not permanent, it's temporary. If there's a war, if there's a crisis in a country, that's really the time to invest, because once the war ceases, you'll be in a very, very strategic position. There's many African countries where people have fled civil war, they've fled all sorts of things, and they've sold up and gone, only to come back 5-10 years later and to find the country flourishing. And the assets that they had, that they sold for a fraction of its value, has now multiplied. When you see blood on the streets, buy property. There's opportunity in crisis. That's the secret of Carlos Slim's success. I'm learning from that, and I'm learning to run to crisis rather than away from it. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.